All right. They tell me we're rolling.
Let's go. I'm here.
All right. I want you to say your name just the way you say it on your voicemail.
My name is John J. Hooker.
Hooker. John, tell us, I'm going to ask you just about a few people first to kind of
Right.
get things going, and then we'll get to the meat of it.
Right.
But you knew a fellow named Thomas Wardlaw Steele. Tell us about him.
I knew him with great affection. My father and his father were great friends. His father was appointed to the Supreme Court, came up here and was sworn in, and got killed in an automobile accident on the way back home the day he was sworn in. Never served a day, but he was on the Supreme Court of Tennessee. And his son was Tom Wardlaw Steele. They were from Ripley, Tennessee. And Tom was a very intelligent fella. He was a lawyer's lawyer. He was a studious man. Cared about the law, cared about the integrity of the law. Frank Clement appointed him chancellor here in Nashville, and Tom was a young fellow in his early 30s. And as a consequence of that appointment, he'd been on the bench maybe a couple of years, and he decided this case of Kidd versus McCandless, which was the forerunner of the concept of one man, one vote. Expression one man, one vote is not in the case of Baker versus Carr. When you hear the Baker versus Carr characterized, everybody talks about it as if it's the one man, one vote case. That's the fallacy. The word one man, one vote is never expressed in Baker versus Carr. But the concept of one man, one vote was the centerpiece of Baker versus Carr.
John, you've mentioned being in the limousine with Bobby Kennedy, and I just have to ask you to expand on that. How in the world did you come to be living with the Attorney General of the United States and riding down Pennsylvania Avenue in his limousine?
Well, really derivative of my father in the sense that I was my father's son, and he and Jack Norman were great friends. They were two leading lawyers of their time here in certain minds of many, including me. And Frank Clement employed Jack Norman to investigate a judge whose name was Ralston Schofield, who allegedly taken some bribes from the labor movement. And the McLellan Committee had investigated the labor movement, and they got onto that, and they had asked this judge, Schofield, to come testify before the McLellan Committee, and he declined. And Governor Clement found out about it and infuriated him that a judge would not honor the United States government by offering to testify about a matter that they claimed that he knew something about. And so Clement decided he would employ Jack Norman to investigate the question of whether or not this judge, Ralston Schofield, had in fact taken bribes. And Mr. Norman came over to my office, and who I was a underling in my father's office, and said, I want you to be my assistant. And I thought, he knows I'm a man of great talents, you know. I mean, he's picked me out here among all these lawyers to be his assistant. But then it dawned on me that the real truth is that he wanted to keep my father from representing Schofield, and that's the reason he got me in as his assistant. My father had gone to school with Schofield, and knew Schofield, and sure as God made green apple, Schofield was going to get him as his defendant lawyer, and Norman recognized that, so he took me in the case. And so we go over there and investigate Schofield, and came back and presented it to the Senate, to the House. The House impeaches him. Then they employ Norman and me to represent in the Senate to prosecute Schofield, and we did. And Bobby came down and testified before in that trial, the Schofield impeachment trial. And after he got through testifying that day, he asked me to take him to the airport via the Hermitage. So he wanted to see Andrew Jackson's house. So we went out to see Andrew Jackson's house, and he spent a couple of hours there. And he was so fascinated with it that he got the lady to agree to stay open for another 30 minutes so he could see it. And I really knew nothing about Senator Kennedy. I didn't know anything about Bobby. And we take him to the airport. Get to the airport, we missed the damn plane, and which was good news for me, because I was going to get to take him to dinner and spend an evening with him, and did. And that began a friendship that stayed in existence to the instant he died. And every minute since, I loved Bobby Kennedy. And so I got to be involved with him. So I went, he invited me to come to High End Sport. And I went to High End Sport and spent the weekend. I remember one day we were out on the yacht, the family, and I was the only non-family member there. And they get in a discussion about Jack running for president. And Jack Kennedy looked over, I'm sitting over here, about much further than you, and he said, looked at me, now you put yourself in my place. I'm 28 years old at 1958. And Jack, I guess, is maybe 40, 41, maybe he was 43 when he got elected, 41 or 2. And he looked right at me and he said, I don't believe you think I can get elected. And here I am as guest, you know. I said, well, pardon me? He said, I don't think you think I can get elected. And I said, well, to tell you the truth, son, I don't know anything about it. You know, I mean, I don't know. I can't. He said, you think I got to beat Eisenhower? I said, I can't beat Eisenhower, but I can beat Nixon. And the way he said it, I believe that, I believe he thinks he can beat Nixon. And so that was the beginning. They could beat Nixon. From the day they were sworn in, I was just thrilled with the excitement of the integrity of the dream, the notion that one man can make a difference and every man should try. That just sung in my heart, and I watched him do that. So Bobby, after the campaign was over, invited me to come stay at his house and read these files on Jimmy Hoffa, and I did. And I'd read these files in the morning and night, ride back and forth in the limousine with him every morning, study these files. And him cross-examine me about the minutiae of these files. He knew more about those files than man, the moon, and anything. Wizard White was the Deputy Attorney General, the football player, and ultimately Supreme Court judge, and Hall of Fame football player. I remember I almost got in a fist fight with him in front of Bobby in Bobby's office over whether or not to appoint Charlie Neese to the federal bench. And Kefauver was calling me every day, urging me to talk to Bobby about Charlie Neese. And Kefauver was the most persistent fellow you ever saw. He called me on the phone and said, what have you done today about talking to Bobby about this? And of course examined me, and he wanted Charlie Neese to be a federal district judge. And so I wanted to do whatever Kefauver wanted me to do. And I knew Charlie Neese and liked him, thought he would be a good judge. But he hadn't passed the criterion that the American Bar Association set up, and the American Bar Association wouldn't recommend him. And Wizard White was an American Bar Association man. And so he was against Charlie Neese, and I was for Charlie Neese. And we was one afternoon standing in front of Bobby's desk and talking about it, and I was urging my man, and I want Neese. And Wizard White said to me, keep your damn nose out of this. Says, I'm the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. This is my prerogative, none of your business. And I said, well, I'm a special assistant to the Attorney General. And this man lives in Tennessee. I've got a perfect right to advocate him if I want to. And Wizard sort of, he was big, sort of straightened up a little bit, like he might hit me. And Bobby said, "Stop it, stop it." And Bobby's on the phone, said, "Stop it." And of course we smiled, and that was that. But incidentally, I'm proud to report, Robert Francis Kennedy appointed Charlie Neese federal district judge over the objection of the Deputy Attorney General. And I would like to claim a little credit for that.
So noted. Were you involved or aware of the arguments in the trial court before Judge Miller?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And Judge Miller and I were great friends. I love Judge Miller, and he and my father were great friends. And that was one of the advantages of being my father's son, is that I got access to people and opportunities that I wouldn't ordinarily have had. For example, I've always had a great warm friendship with Howard Baker, even though I'm a Democrat and he's a Republican. But it really emanated from my father's relationship with Howard's daddy. And my father, I think I told you privately, had the wonderful circumstance that he owned a 1/6 interest in the Jack Daniels distillery, and his law partner owned a 6, and so they owned a third of the Jack Daniels distillery all during the war, the years thereafter. And they'd love to give it around to these public figures and judges and lawyers and whatever. And Howard Baker's father used to get this Jack Daniels from my father, and so there was a great friendship based on that. And then Howard and I got to be friends based on that. One man can make a difference, and every man should try.
Right.
That's sort of been the guiding principle of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I got it from Jack Kennedy, that one man's, that's the reason I've gotten so involved in these retention election thing, is that one man can make a difference,
right.
and if you just try.
Right.
And my favorite quote is from Andrew Jackson, who said that one man with courage can make a majority.
Right.
How do I get out of here?
We're going to exit over this way. Just follow Ed's voice if you can hear it.
And maybe some others, so that we would know ahead of time what they had said about certain things, so that we can just plug it in
Right.
in particular parts of the program.
Good. What did I do with my hat? Anybody?
Went under the chair.
I believe it's in another room.
No, I think you.
It's under the
No,
chair.
it's on the chair.
Probably
I see
under the
it.
chair. We were concerned about
Last day of summer, I got to go.
That's, yeah, that's quite a hat.
Yeah. Hat's had a hard time.